out tonight to this meeting of the Utica Township Fire Protection District Board. We were here just a little two weeks ago, I guess, but I'm Kelly Curry, that's my name. I was appointed February 29th, first day of March, and I volunteered like these other guys because I felt like I always think I'm the best person for the job of any job I volunteer for, but it may not. But I really wanted to be able to work to get our fire district kind of on an even keel and moving forward in a safe place. So, but if y'all wouldn't mind, I'd like to ask Kenny Gallagher to offer a benediction to get us going. If you all would please bow your heads or however you want to participate. Thank you.
Let's pray. Father, we come to Jesus' mighty name this evening. We thank you, Father God, for this opportunity to come together. Pray, Father God, in Jesus' mighty name, that just meet again, Father, goes according to your will and your way. Pray, Heavenly Father, that you help us keep each tongue, Heavenly Father, keep our anger right, Heavenly Father. And we just say thank you for the fire department coming out, sharing with us. We pray, Heavenly Father, we take away from it everything that you desire for us. It's in Jesus' mighty name that we do pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so if y'all don't mind, we're going to call it on order, and I'm going to have a roll call. I'm standing because I want to be able to see y'all. So Kelly Curry, roll call.
Randy Leverett.
Randy Leverett, Joe Girls. Some of y'all probably know them. The first business on this agenda this evening is the election of officers. And I'm going to ask to entertain a motion for the election of president of this board.
I'll make a motion, Joe Jarl, president.
Okay, and I'm going to second that. So, any opposition, Joe?
A little.
Okay, so motion moved, voice vote three actually. He really didn't oppose it. Then we're going to have the election of the vice president of the board. And do I have a motion?
Motion for Randy Leverett as vice president.
I second that. Got a vote of,
Yeah.
you accept that? Okay. Okay, 3-0 with Randy. Thank you.
And I'll make a motion to elect Kelly secretary treasurer.
And I second.
And I accept that. 3-0 secretary treasurer. I'm going to turn it over to our new president, Joe Jarl. All righty.
So I'm just going to do a quick introduction. You guys probably are more familiar with Randy, but I'm Joe Jarls. I'm a former Front Creek firefighter. I was a training bureau chief there. I retired in 2002, and I served there as president of the Front Creek board. So I've got some experience and background with this. Randy.
Well, I'm retired Jeffersonville firefighter, part of the arson and fire marshal in Utica.
So we're going to move quickly through the agenda. I don't know how long this meeting is going to last, honestly, but we're going to, on each line item, we're going to open it up for public comment. You guys are stakeholders. You have as much right to weigh in on this as anybody does, maybe more. So I'll tell you what the subject is, and if you can just try to stick to the subject as much as possible if you want to make a comment. And then at the end, we'll have a general comment section. So right now, I'll entertain a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes. Yeah, Kelly, so you might have to.
So there's some discussion on the previous minutes. There was only one board member, current board member, that was at the meeting. There's really no way for us to verify the minutes, so we're going to let the motion die for lack of a second, and there will be no approval of the previous meeting minutes. Financial report and bills. Josh Groh has presented our business checking account and the current year financial worksheet. This is all a work in progress. I think most of you guys know that Randy and I were just nominated or just appointed last Thursday night. So there's been a tremendous amount of work that's gone into what we have so far, but we wanted to get in front of you guys as soon as possible. So currently, as of July 9th of 24, the district has a balance of $384,932.37. We have our current worksheet on what will be the approved budget. Most likely is $156,880. We'll have $114,000 in disbursements, leaving us with a balance of $61,680. Is that right? For the general, not the debt service. Right, that's not the debt service or the income. So all of this will be up here for you guys to take a look at. As I said, this is a work in progress, and I promise that we will be transparent, answer any questions that you have about where the money's going. Do we have any bills that we need to present? So we have one invoice that's from the consultant, Reuben Cummings, which has helped in the past with creating the budget. We have $1,000 invoice from Reuben, and I'll entertain a motion to pay that $1,000 invoice.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carried. All right. We're going to move on to new business. So we have a retention of contract services on the agenda, and that's legal. The three of us met with legal counsel today. We've decided, or potentially decided, to hire Edens and Domini Law Group in St. Matthews. We will be paying them a $7,000 retainer just to help us figure some stuff out. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the commitment letter from Edens Domini Law Group.
I'll make a motion.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carried. All right, so we'd like to review the assets. This has been a big question, I think, for everyone, is what do we actually have? So we know currently we have the district owns Engine 11, which is a 2022 Spartan fire apparatus, and that's at Station 2. We have Ladder 11, which is a 2014 Ferrera, and that is at Station 1. That's the big ladder truck. We have Engine 13, that is a C model Ford. I think that came from Jeffersonville. Is that right? Did the C model Ford that's at Station 1, that was an old Jeffersonville truck? Is that right?
Just at the 87?
Yes.
I think it came
Yes.
It came from McCullough? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have that. We have Engine 14. That is a Ford F550. That's the mini pumper. I do have a question on something. So on the Ford, I noticed on the title that the title is made out to Utica Township Fire Department instead of Utica Township. No, the fire district. Is that the same thing?
We're in the district then.
Those are not the same thing. That's titled incorrectly. Addressed.
So all the other apparatus that we're making payments on are titled the Utica Township Fire Protection District. The C model Ford is titled to Utica Township Fire Department. So that's separate.
That's correct.
What is Utica Township Fire Department?
That's the one of the legal names. Department.
One of the legal names of what?
That's the legal name of the department.
Well, yeah. So how do we correct that? So who is there's so many names. Who is Utica Township Fire Department? That's one of your legal names?
Yes.
Yeah, there are two legal entities. I know
Okay.
there's a lot of names that are bandied about. There are
Okay.
two legal entities. Utica Township Volunteer Firefighters Association, that is the EMS company that does business as New Chapel EMS. And there's Utica Township Volunteer Fire Department, that does business as New Chapel Fire. So the Volunteer Fire Department, your fire department here in Utica, that's the one that engine is apparently titled to. It should be titled to the Fire Protection District.
All right, what was the last one? Utica Township
Volunteer Fire Department.
Volunteer Fire Department or firefighters? I've seen
Utica
firefighters.
Township Volunteer Fire Department is the fire department company. That's the one that actually provides fire protection. The other company is Utica Township Volunteer Firefighters Association. That is the EMS company.
Oh, DBA.
Yeah.
All right,
They each have a DBA. The Volunteer Firefighters Association does business as New Chapel EMS. So it's the one that does all the ambulance services and everything. Utica Township Volunteer Fire Department does business as New Chapel Fire. And that is the one that provides your fire protection here in Utica.
Okay, the Utica Township Fire Department is what, a DBA under one of these?
That would be correct, yeah. There are some Secretary of State filings that were done where they did it as Utica Township Fire Department and left out the word volunteer.
So is there a parent company?
There-
I had this on
there is not a
the
parent
list here.
company.
There's not a parent company.
No. And we're happy to schedule a time to sit down and clarify any of that. But the short answer is no. There are two companies, the FFA, the Firefighters Association Company, and the Volunteer Fire Department. There is not a separate parent company, and you can search that on the Secretary of State's business search website and clarify that pretty quickly.
All right, well, we'll take you up on your
I
offer.
appreciate that. Yeah, just get with me after the meeting and set up.
And I guess you're legal counsel?
Yes.
Okay.
And your name?
Coy Travis, COY on the first name, TRAPIS on the last name.
Yes, I have a question. The Utica Township Volunteer Fire Department, LLC, INC, how is it stated on the Secretary of State?
I believe it is incorporated as a not-for-profit corporation under Indiana law.
All the corporations are
Our domestic
not-for-profit.
not-for-profit corporations, yes.
All right. Well, while you're there, I've got a couple other questions here. So, and I appreciate you trying to help us clear this up.
Certainly, yeah.
Because we're just trying to understand. So we're still on the discussion on assets. So I found in the minutes from 12/13/22, it's a handwritten minutes. You guys want to see? Handwritten minutes, there was a 2021 E1 pumper that says transfer. What does that mean?
I would have to see that, and we'd be happy to look at that and talk to you. We did send a request over to Ms. Curry yesterday, asking her if there were any particular items that she wanted us to be prepared to discuss tonight. My understanding is we were told that there was, or excuse me, talking phone, not an email. My mistake on that. Sorry, Ms. Curry. Don't want to.
That's okay.
We're just trying to get our feet on it.
So I don't have anything in my head today to answer that question specifically for you, but I'm happy to, anything like you've got like that from past minutes or past records, happy to schedule that as part of that meeting. We get to sit down, go through that, and see what we've got in our records.
That'd be great. But if you do know, we'd like to answer some of these questions in public too, just so everybody knows.
Oh, I think we want to get that in public. I think it's just one of those,
Yeah.
getting it on the spot, I don't know that I can give you a good
Do
answer.
you know what the E1 pumper is?
I know we had to do one, yes, but what was the statement of the minutes?
So it was transferred. And my question is transferred to who?
I don't know. We can find out. All of the, so to my knowledge, all of the fire trucks that we bought, were traded or sold through Greenland Apple, which is a third-party service. That really should be paid away.
No, I'm not.
That they handle all of those transactions, so we should be able to find that.
And that's it. If you've got any others like that, like I said.
Well, there's a couple that I'm going to ask questions about.
Yeah. And if you can get us all that information,
I will.
we'll give a friendly check and see what their records show as far as any of that, so that we can clarify exactly what happened with any of those vehicles.
So, and Josh, you may be able to help with some of this too. So there's a Utica Township Fire District Board minutes from August 18th of 21, where there's a discussion and motion to approve the lease or finance with buyback provision, one for air pumper for $376.69. but I don't think that I know about a Ferrera pumper. We've got a Spartan pumper, a Ferrera ladder, and a mini pump. What's the mini pumper? What's the name? Was it $376,000? Yeah, I wouldn't think so. So I'd like to, and we'll get with you guys so that you can answer a little better. There's also a discussion and a motion to transfer a 2012 Ferrera pumper to Utica Township firefighters. Why would that be?
What, do you know when that was?
Yeah,
what
it
date
was
was that from again?
August 18th of 21.
21. Again, that's from several years ago. We would need to review those minutes and then go back and see what we have in our records to see if we can kind of get some clarification on that.
But I'm trying to clear up in my head, can you think of a reason why the district would transfer ownership of an asset to the private not-for-profit entity?
So Jamie knows how to get to the money.
You don't know what happened to that truck, Matt? Okay. All right. Well, probably the answers are going to be the same, but I do want to go through this. Just like I said, we're just trying to put our heads around exactly what's going on. Then in 2020, April 1st of 2020, there's a motion by Tim McDonald to approve the purchase of the E1 pumper for $267,136. So that's probably, is that the mini pumper? No, the mini pumper's not an E1, is it?
Yes.
Oh, it is, okay.
There were two mini pumpers that were bought around the same time. One was an E1, one was a Ferrara. Jamie bought an E1 because we'd never bought an E1 before and we wanted to buy an E1.
What's the one that we have now?
Everything else.
It's a Ferrari. So you don't know what happened to that truck either?
No, I know we sold it, but I don't know
Okay.
Who bought it or?
specifically about
That would have been,
it. I'm sure it was approved.
And obviously you don't know where the money was deposited from that purchase. But it was transferred, from my understanding, to the Firefighters Association.
I don't know why that was.
Yeah, I don't know why either. Well, this may answer part of our question. It's a 2024 Ferrera mini pumper, not to exceed $235,000. So the Ferrera was a mini pumper for $235,000. So it's definitely not the one that the Ferrera pumper for $367,000.
What was the 360 in reference to?
It said it was a Ferrera pumper, but to my knowledge, the discussion motion to transfer one 2012 Ferrera pumper to Utica Township firefighters. And that's in 21.
I don't know that we kept her. 2012. I don't know that we had a truck that old.
It's in the minutes. It's in the township district minutes, and they transferred ownership from the district to the township firefighters, is what it says, Utica Township firefighters.
I don't know.
Okay.
Steve, do you know? I mean, was there a 2012 truck that we had that would have been transferred? I said, do you know the 2012 truck that would have been transferred?
I don't know about a transfer, but I can know it's 24 truck.
You know where it went? Where was it housed at?
I think it's the one we had at Station 2. We had 2 Ferraris that were white. And then we got another box Ferrari, but I don't know, I think they either traded them.
Did you say box Ferrari?
Yeah, it's just a big box. All these poles is on poles.
Okay.
Roller doors.
That was an MVP.
Was it?
Was that 2012 truck an MVP?
No, but this is the one we had 2 Ferraris with the side mount pumps. At the hard suction, holes on the side hanging off.
Yeah.
And let me make sure you understand, this is not personal either way, for good or bad either way. This is not personal. We're just trying to figure out, I mean, we think there's at least 4 incidences where trucks have been transferred out of the district's name, and we don't show where any money's come in. They were basically gifts, and we're trying to figure out why a fire taxing district would give a gift of significant money away to anybody.
And what I can say on that we would love to help you find the answers to
Okay.
that, quite frankly. Obviously, the guy on our side of things who was responsible for those transactions and making those decisions is up in Scott County and not saying a lot on the subject right now, but to the extent that we can help you find those answers, we're happy to
Okay.
get help on that.
There's another one that was in 2010, and I realize that probably predates most of us, well, certainly me, but maybe somebody here in the from the community knows. There's a note in the township district notes minutes. It says, upon final payment to New Washington State Bank loan on the 97 HME truck, the vehicle will be transferred to the fire department. Just curious why. I mean, it even says in there the district paid it off, and then the fire department ended up with it for free, it looks like. I'm just wondering what happened to that truck. And like I said, unless somebody from the community knows, we'll pass on that.
What model was it? Did you say KME?
HME. HME, so I don't know.
Wait, you know about that one?
Okay. There's also one that we found references to a couple of different places that's recent, that's a Freightliner. Does anybody remember Freightliner?
There were two Freightliner, very large ambulances.
I looked into that. So there were
They
two,
were
because
sold
I
in
found those in the
2009.
asset list, and they were Freightliner ambulances, but this is a Freightliner tanker pump.
Yes. That was the pumper tanker we had in 2015.
What happened to that?
And soon it was traded off for the other.
I can't find anything. I went through with the B&B when the applications for titles were filed. There was nothing that I could find where a truck was ever traded.
Or replaced.
They were replaced, right, I guess.
With what?
With what? Right. And where did the first one go?
What year was that? What
Um,
year are you talking about?
It's recent. I think it was in 2020 sometime.
I thought you
Or
were talking-
2019. I think it's
I thought you were
2019.
talking about something that was farther back.
We've
Because my
had-
husband bought a fire truck from here. He bought the fire truck. I had the title and everything.
Probably an old one, though, right?
It was a pumper though, because they used it during the flood to clear out
Yeah.
the mess.
Okay.
And then he wanted it back. Jamie wanted it back, so he traded a new truck, newer truck for that one. So we have the newer truck, and he has one of the first fire truck I think Utica had is what it was.
So that's something, if anybody can help with that, we would sure like to know what happened with those trucks and if they were sold, where the money went.
It was traded, what vehicle been placed in?
Right, what vehicle was it traded on? So the state police sent me a list. This is a list of all the vehicles registered with any name close to or dealing with Utica Township or Utica Fire Department, or I don't think New Chapel's even on here. I don't
There's a
think.
couple on there.
Was there?
Yeah.
Oh, there is. There's 3 on here that's New Chapel. So everything on this list is titled to Utica Township Fire Department, Utica Fire Protection District, Utica Township Volunteer Firefighter Association, Utica Township Firefighters Association without the volunteer, Utica Township Firefighters, Utica Township Fire Department. And I don't know how many are on here, but there's a lot. So we're kind of curious as to the disposition of a lot of these. And Matt, maybe you can help us here. I don't know if you're going to recognize any of this or not, but in the Utica Fire Protection District name, which you would agree that's us, right?
Yes.
Okay. There's a top kick, 93 top kick C7H042. Do you know what that is? Is that an ambulance?
I do.
Okay.
It's a mid-mount pump.
Top kick was one you were referencing?
I'm sorry?
The top kick was one you were just referencing?
Yes.
It was an engine, back when, Telesport 69 was in place. It was a pumper tanker combo, that was used kind of both in Floyd and Clark, but it was housed down here in the far left bay. And that was the second out apparatus when I was there.
You referenced Telesport, what was it, 69?
Telesport 69, that was sold shortly after I left. It's now residing in a campground in Orange County.
Do we know, do we still own that because it's still registered to us? It comes back in our name.
As far as B&B's concerned.
We've got similar lists from the state police that have vehicles listed that are registered to the organizations or fire districts. And a lot of the vehicles, not a lot, but there are several vehicles on that list that we have gone through that are still registered to us, but we don't have any. So that's also part of the process that we've been going through auditing, even though we have internally for the Firefighters Association, the fire department.
When do you expect that audit to be completed?
Don't have an end date for you on that. It's a work in progress. So,
And I mean, there are staff cars from the late 90s on there that just know that haven't had. Nobody on the association now remembers them now. So Paul would say that was a staff car, but I don't know when we ever had that.
I can see that, but what I don't understand is fire trucks that come up missing from 20, 21, 22, 23,
I agree.
those dates. That seems a little artificial to me.
I agree. We'll help you figure it out.
Okay. There's a 1998 Sierra K3500. I'm curious what that is. There's another Top Kick. There's a 90 Unknown. There's a 92 Cutaway Van E350. I assume that's going to be an ambulance.
I assume that's an ambulance. Yes.
Why?
You said it's a 92.
Yeah, 92. Why would the district ever own an ambulance?
It's my understanding the district did own ambulances in the past.
Oh, is that right? I didn't know that.
When I joined, part of the duties were to go to Miami-Dade County and pick up used ambulances. That's how Utica Fire and EMS originally started prior to the new chapel.
In the district model?
I don't know who bought them. I just know that there were several individuals sent to Miami-Dade on an all-expenses trip that came back with more than they left with.
More ambulances?
No, they had to visit a doctor.
So,
Here's a, oh, go ahead, Kelly.
I
I'm
was gonna
sorry.
say, so how many did you say came back?
What we bring, what, 3 back on the initial trip.
Initial trip.
I think there was another trip later after I had left, but by that time they had already bought 2 new squads, one for the Floyd County contract, one for the Clark County, the Utica side.
What year was this?
What you told me.
03?
Still should have.
I think it was 03. And the initial squad 50 caught fire in the bay. Somebody refilled the oxygen bottle, put it back too soon, it caught fire in the bay. And then squad 51, I think it ended up getting replaced because the 7.3 liter engine blew out.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
07, 3500, and that's it. So, one of the things I pointed out to the state police is the fire trucks that we know that we've got the registrations that we just went over didn't show up on the list, and they're looking into why that is right now. Does anybody, so we're on the review of assets. Does anybody have anything that they'd like to comment on what's been said?
I did want to just add one thing. You mentioned why the district would buy ambulances. I mean, early on, it's my understanding that the district wanted to provide that type of service for the district. Out of speculation, that the district would have bought those assets for use in the district. I don't think they were ever, or I don't know that the district ever bought ambulances after New Chapel started running. But I know one of the stories that I was told was that New Chapel EMS came about as a name because there was the Utica Fire Department on the side of the ambulances. And nobody understood why the Utica Fire Department ambulances were leaving the fire district to go do other things. So I don't know if that all plays into how this started or how this changed over time. But I don't believe there's going to be any recent purchase of ambulances or that sort of thing.
So that brings me to a point. Now, I just told you guys not to get sidetracked. I'm going to get sidetracked for a minute. So there was the original fire department was Utica Volunteer Firefighters Association. That was created in 1954, I think. So the fire department started in 88 or 48, and then in 54 it was organized. 52? Yep, 52. Okay. And that organization still survives to this day.
Correct.
Same organization. How is it that you guys got control of that?
The Firefighters Association has been, like you said, in existence since the 50s. I think Jamie was elected chief in '93, and at some point there was a change in how the organization operated as a member-based organization to a board-driven organization. How that change happened or was initiated is not something that I got clear.
Sorry to throw my hand up in the air again. While I was on the department, JD came to everybody and said, look, Milwaukee Township's faltering. I would like to put in for the contract to provide coverage in Floyd County. We can't do it under the Utica name. We can't do it under Milwaukee Township. We have a department on New Chapel Road. Why do we call it New Chapel? New Chapel was effectively born at that point in time, and contract services began outside. The whole premise behind it was he told the membership at the time that there would be profit sharing. At the end of the year, instead of getting a t-shirt or a pair of sweatpants or whatever, or your $100 for fuel allotment, that you would get a piece of the pie, even if you were a volunteer. And obviously, that never happened either. But that's how the New Chapel name became. And at that point in time, Jamie was pretty much running the show, even though when I was on, there was still a board of directors.
So I'm trying to, like I said, man, please don't take anything personal here. This is not personal. I'm just trying to figure this out. I can't figure out how the original charter for the Utica Fire Department ended up in private hands. Because wouldn't you agree it seems like that should be here still?
I don't understand the question.
So you guys operate effectively a private company that's a not-for-profit that operates under Utica Volunteer Firefighters Association, which was the 1952 original charter of the Utica Fire Department. But now it's in private hands. It's away. You guys control it and control Utica or New Chapel EMS through that not-for-profit.
I'd say it's always been a private company.
It has, but it was controlled by the firefighters. It's no longer controlled by the firefighters, and I'm trying to figure out how that happened. How did that happen?
The people that made those decisions were people who were in your chair 30 years ago, who were in Matt's chair 30 years ago. We can't answer that, and with all due respect to Mr. Bostock, he's both a reporter and an information source now at this point, which ethically is a gray area to say the least.
I wouldn't think so.
But
I mean, if he was on the department, he can answer questions. I wanted the community to come so that they could weigh in and provide some background.
I'm simply going to say you're asking us for answers that well predate most of the people that are in this organization right now, and answers about your own documents that predate the members of your own board, asking us to provide clarity on your own records. It's difficult for us to do that. We're happy to do what we can.
I can't find where the board ever made those decisions. But.
So I have a question. Do you have any minutes anywhere? Any minutes of the transactions, the meetings that occurred in that time frame that we're speaking about?
What? Of
the
30 years ago?
Yep.
I have no idea if we have those or not. Most companies don't keep their records from 30 years back.
Do you have any minutes recent years
For the firefighters association.
for your board?
So everything that was on record before August of last year has been with the state police.
No copies were made and given to the state police didn't make copies like they did of ours.
They seized everything when they came in with their search warrants. We have been given a few things back here and there, but by and large, most of those records are in the custody of the state police.
Here, let me ask this, maybe this is
To be
easy.
totally transparent, I don't know if those records exist for the last 15 or 20 years.
So what there is with them, but we have no idea. I just came on in June, Matt just joined the board in August, so he just got in a position to ask those questions then. Last August, to be clear, a year ago. So we don't know what existed in what the state police took.
Okay.
There may be some of those minutes in that deceased Kelly, and I'm happy to give the state police and try to get an answer to that question. There may be no records. I honestly don't know as I stand here to answer.
Thank you.
Do you know, in 1998, the recorder, Ralph Stemler, recorder of Clark County, received the bylaws for the Utica Township Volunteer Firefighters Association. According to the recorder, and anything that we can find, there's never been an update. Do you know if that's accurate?
The bylaws have been updated. They were updated last fall, was it? Last update?
Can I get a copy of that? Are they recorded?
They're not required to be recorded by law, so no, they're not.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So most companies don't record their bylaws. Some choose to do so, but they are not required by law to be.
So I would assume that
We'll happily get you those.
I would assume the changes are that you no longer have to live in Utica Township.
Off the top of my head, I don't know all of them because those were drafted prior to me coming on this council. But I'm happy to get you a copy. And
Okay.
Let me sit down and go through what those changes
I
are.
found one that's undated, but it appears to me to be the exact same, and I don't know if that's the current one or not. But the one I was more relying on is the one from 1998 that was filed.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Which agenda item are we on at this
Assets.
point? And just as a point of order,
Assets.
as a point of order in compliance with the public meeting requirement, where is the agenda for today? Because it wasn't
Right here on the desk,
because it wasn't posted at the front door.
right here. It's available.
Here you go.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
You seem to be getting a little defensive.
No, I just
hope
simply
that's-
want to make sure that we're all being compliant with everything. So,
Yes.
I'm sorry, you mentioned that you just recently came on to the board.
I'm not on the board, I came on as the attorney.
As the attorney for the board, what board did you just start representing?
For the Firefighter Association and the Fire Department.
Does that also include New Chapel EMS as well?
That's the DBAs of those two companies. Yes.
Okay,
It's two companies.
so who is on that board?
That's what we have on both, just make sure we all names right here.
Our board
Yes,
is myself, Carl Holden, Jennifer Wilkerson, Jamie Grant, Steve Gray.
Do any of those members live within Utica or its response area? Sorry, Matt.
Any of them live in Utica,
Or the response area of Utica?
or the responsibility.
I don't know.
so then it no longer should be titled Utica Township Volunteer Fire Department, is what you're saying?
That's the-
Because none of the employees or none of the people that show up are Utica Township volunteers. They're volunteers from whatever county or whatever city or wherever you hand pick who's gonna,
They're not even volunteers, are they? I thought it was paid. I thought that was the.
no, they pay the EMS and we're screwed on fire. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Why do we have to have all these different boards if it's Utica? We've got firefighters, and we,
Well, one's a taxing district, the Fire District Board. That is their operational board. That is the private company's board of directors.
and New Chapel is your part,
All right.
EMS.
Coy, and if I'm wrong, please step in. And I'm going to try to, just so that we all understand. So my understanding was there was a Utica Township Volunteer Firefighters Association that was the original fire department.
Correct.
And when was the district?
1952.
In 1998, the the district was created as a taxing entity.
Correct. Commissioners created district in 98.
So the taxing district, this board, our predecessors, contracted to the Firefighters Association, the Volunteer Firefighters Association, to continue to provide protection. But that was still the Utica Fire Department. Somehow or another,
Around,
since
I'm
'98,
trying to remember what year it was that the second company was created. In the mid 2000s, the second company got created. There was only the Utica Township Volunteer Firefighters Association from 1954, I think, up until
52.
52 was the actual corporation. I knew that the start, I couldn't remember the actual file, Secretary of State paperwork that year. In 2005, 2006, I'd have to go double check the paperwork. That was when the second corporation was created, the Utica Township Volunteer Firefighter Fire Department. Excuse me.
do you know, is New Chapel still a DBA under the original Volunteer
Yes.
Firefighters Association?
Yes, the
I
original
thought it was.
Firefighters Association, its current DBA that is on file with the Secretary of State is New Chapel EMS.
Okay.
And the entity that was created in the mid 2000s, the Utica Township Volunteer Fire Department, its DBA that is on file with the Secretary of State is New Chapel Fire.
So
I believe it's Fire and EMS technically.
Yes.
So then, we had just.
Lot of names.
Lot of names, lot of smoke, if you ask me, but they're all following,
that part.
they're following, I mean, they all fall under, I mean, I get they DBA, but they all still fall under the Utica Township Volunteer Fire Department. They all use the same tax ID number.
No, the two nonprofit companies have two totally different tax ID numbers.
So they're two different entities altogether.
They are two separate legal
Buildings.
entities. They have two separate tax ID numbers.
So they're two different businesses.
Why do we,
That decision was made back in the mid 2000s by someone who's not here. I honestly can't answer the why it came into it.
Let me reassure you, I'm not trying to trap anybody. We're trying to get an
No,
understanding.
and like I said, I'd love to be able to give you a great answer.
Yeah,
on that.
I know.
I don't have, between the documents that are available to us right now and the fact that we weren't part of those conversations, I wish I could give you a better answer.
Okay.
well, would it be better to just shut it all down and restart? I mean,
Well, that's.
the way this is
It's not
scrambled
our-
up,
We don't control that.
We don't know what we don't know.
But who does? Who would
They-
know that?
They don't
the New
know.
Chapel people.
they don't know.
We are in the process of obviously figuring out what was left behind by Mr. Knoll and all of his, let's just say, activities.
We're trying to do the same thing.
Yeah,
And-
like Randy said,
and
we're trying to do the
figuring
same thing.
Yeah, and we are attempting to be as transparent as we can. And I understand how frustrating it is when somebody like me stands up here and says, I can't give you an answer. And that's not because I'm trying to be a squirrely lawyer who's playing tricks on you, as Sean can attest, because he and I've had plenty of conversations about it.
That's twice a week.
It's because when I can give it, when I've got the information, I'm going to give you the information, good, bad, or otherwise. There are a lot of things as we have gone through that we just plain and simply, the historical records are either there or they're not there, and we're doing our best to piece it together as we go, to work with the other agencies that we have to work with in Clark County at the state level to figure out what has happened, what is this Gordian knot that was left behind, and how do we untangle it to make sure that we continue to do our jobs, to make sure that our firefighters are getting on trucks, to make sure that our ambulance drivers are getting on trucks and doing their job while dealing with all the other mess that has been left behind as well. And
You can.
And I understand that.
Tell from some of the state police reporting that keeps going on, the search warrants that keep getting issued, we're still finding things.
And I understand that, but while you all are going and trying to find records and you're putting people on the fire trucks, which I understand from our last meeting is an issue because there's not hardly anybody there that's qualified that can get on the fire truck. But we're the ones that if we have a fire, we're the ones that are waiting and twiddling our thumbs. And, I understand from the papers that Jeff City is going to come save us. If we're going to have Jeff City save us, then why do we need New Chapel and why do we need a company that took our volunteer history, that Mrs. Connect's husband, lots of people here, your dad, Robbie, was a volunteer fire department here for years. Lots of volunteer firemen, and I'm quite sure they're on the hill going, what the hell is going on down here? What did you all do to us? So why should we keep letting you go on and do that, and we're all worried if we have a fire, what's going to happen happen to us. Although, like I said, I understand Jeff City's gonna come to rescue. But why should we keep giving chance after chance after chance? Let's stop the squirrel and
May,
put him out.
yeah, may I respond to that?
Please do.
Certainly. So at the last meeting, Chief Owen presented you with some information. First of all, to this idea that we don't have qualified staff there, the number was we had 19 cross-trained staff.
Mhm.
19 cross-trained staff, 9 of them at any given time? Am I remember looking at it right? I have to go double check, but we have staff there. In terms of the service you're being provided, let's break it down to its basics. What does a volunteer fire department do? You've got guys and gals at home who have a phone, a cell phone, a pager, something like that. That if there's a fire, they get a call and they get their equipment and they either get on scene or they get to the firehouse and they get the truck. New Chapel Fire is providing that for the people of Utica. And they are making sure that if it is possible, they're having people staff at the fire department.
Corey, can I ask you for a list of volunteers?
We'll get you the people that are working.
I don't think there are any volunteers.
And as Chief Owen explained last week, the fire side, nobody's getting paid on the fire side because the contract that we have with Utica doesn't cover salaries of firefighters or anything like that. It's a very small contract that basically covers for some trainings and insurance and things like that. So we are trying to make sure that you guys are getting the volunteer fire service and then some that we can provide there as well. And Jeff, we appreciate that Jeff is going to be on automatic gate. But I would also remind you of some of the stats that Chief Owen presented at that last meeting. In 5 years, Utica has not been without fire protection. Only twice has mutual aid had to be called in 5 years. So you guys have had protection. You guys have had.
No, we've just been real lucky not to have fires.
Corey,
Yeah.
so I reached out to the Department of Homeland Security. I said, what happens when an agency, EMS agency or fire agency reports that they have new staff to DHS? I was advised that the full portfolio of that individual, say he's on Jennings Township Fire Department outside of the county, but he works for EMS here, his portfolio will port with him so that your all's data could show, because he's employed with you, that person is certified in those things. So to me, my concern is certified versus actually responding and actually on staff with gear ready to go.
So you're worried about having them on paper but not actually really responding.
Correct.
Is that kind of a fair restatement of the question?
Fair restatement, yes.
So I'm happy to get with you, Sean, afterwards, and because we've got a request from the Fire District Board to get the volunteer list and who's actually working fire protection for Utica. So I'm happy to get that information to them, and I'm sure you know how to get information out of them as government entity so that we can get that, because you guys deserve to know that. But I can tell you that was what Chief Owen was trying to present to you last month, was to calm some of the fears that are out there, because I get that you're afraid. I get that you want to know that if there's a fire in Utica, somebody's going to respond. Our guys are going to respond. And it's great that we've got Jeff there saying they're going to respond as well. And we want to be as honest with you as we can be about how we're going to respond, the ways that we're going to get you there, the ways that we're going to protect you, and the agencies we're going to reach out to have our back in case there is a problem.
Right.
So I appreciate that, and I hope that you all appreciate that. Look, this has been a hard year on this company, to say the least, and it feels like every morning, just like you guys, we wake up wondering, what are we going to learn today that we didn't know yesterday? And it's a smack in the face. And it's really hard on these because they were the ones close to this situation. So imagine your best friend hurt you in some way and you have to read about it in the paper the next morning or see it on the 6 o'clock news the next day. How betrayed you, and then you have the entire community mad at you because of what he did. And they still got to get up and they still got to go to work and they still got to get on the, and they are trying and I can promise you from the limp, and I'm the new guy in house, so remember, I'm the guy that hadn't been there for it. I can tell you what I have seen in my time at this company is these people want nothing more than to work with you, to keep you safe, and for you to know that you are safe and that they value keeping you safe and having you feel safe. And that is my job, to help you guys answer those questions as best as we possibly can so that you know that. Okay, so any questions you've got, any of the members of the board, Kelly, we've talked several times in the past, any questions y'all got, get them to me. I want to get you guys answers as quickly as possible. Okay?
Okay, so I'm going to finish up on assets. Would you work with the new Chapel folks to get us
Absolutely.
an asset list of everything that they're in possession of that belongs to the district.
Absolutely, and we'll also get with brokerage company like we were talking about. We'll get a list of those ones that you got questions about and see what we can get from the brokerage company about what happened on those.
Right. Randy brought up a good point of everything the district owns, not just in your possession, but everything to your knowledge that the district owns.
Yeah.
So, all right, just in full disclosure, so that everybody's on the same page. When I talked to the state police and brought up these trucks that seem to be missing, he said if we can't get an answer within 5 days to just report them stolen. So if they've been sold, please help us so that we don't report some fire department's truck stolen.
We're going to do what we can. I've just full candor and disclosure to you in dealing with a number of agencies about trying to find out what has happened with various assets and accounts and things like that. We have not always gotten a lot of cooperation out of them. Some of you have probably seen in the newspaper, we had to file a lawsuit related to some of the credit cards that are out there trying to get information.
I've seen that.
And so we will do what we can to get that information. If third parties stonewall us on getting information, we'll be as honest with you about that and what our efforts are to get that information.
Right,
So we would either need to know that we have the truck and it's parked at XYZ.
Or it was sold on such
Or
and
it was
such date,
sold
here's the details.
And the money that came in from that, where did it go? Because we can't find any place in our records where money has ever come in from the firefighter association
Back into the
back to the district. So they were district-owned assets.
Like I said, after the meeting, I'll get with you guys, make sure I've got a
Fair
complete
enough.
list of all those vehicles you're concerned about so that we can work.
Fair enough.
Let me ask this gentleman a question.
Yes, sir.
I directed Bank of America's independent client business for 30 years. Get your credit card receipts. Whoever is if the credit card is in the town of Utica's name, also the town of Utica has to do is request the information. So wherever the credit card originated, whoever basically put the information together to originate that credit card, then those transactions are available. They're available for 20 or 30 years back. So there should be no issue in getting any credit card.
The issue we had, and it was with American Express and Synchrony, who both responded back to us that the living, breathing human being who signed all of those documents was a fellow by the name of Jamie Noel, and that he was the only one that they were authorized on those documents to release to, and that they would require a court order or something like that to release it, even though it was our company name on there.
If somebody's looking for information, they can get with me privately. I can get to the top of Amex fairly immediately.
We've since gotten all of it, but the problem was that.
Okay, so you have all the information.
We're in the process of finishing getting all of that, but it's been trouble because they hide behind some of the federal statutes that say that they're not supposed to release certain things. That's the problem we have, is they will do that and then it forces us to.
Okay, but what you're telling me now, I know all the rules and regs. So what you're telling me now is you have all the information that you need to produce the information from a credit card perspective. Okay.
From a credit card perspective.
That's all I needed to know.
I'd have to double check my file, but I think at this point we have everything.
All I needed to know. You have it.
And if we don't, hey, give me your number afterwards, because any help we can get on grease and wheels, I'm a happy guy. Yes.
Will you, this side of the board, continue to have meetings with the community?
We're happy to. Anytime the public wants to meet with us, all
Monthly.
you guys got to do is let us know when and where, and we're happy to come and meet. And I come with Matt anytime to try to help answer anything I'm doing, because I'm handling, obviously, some of these public handling and legal side of things, so that you guys know what's going on with those pieces of everything moving. You all see there's a lot of court involvement with all of these pieces going on, and my goal, like I said, is to be as transparent with you as I can.
But would you have them monthly so everyone knows
Yeah,
monthly?
if that's what you guys want, I'm happy to do that. I may need to give Matt a break every now and then because he's got a wife and kids. My wife is okay with me letting her stay at home with the dogs.
Well, but I think your involvement on this side of the board, as well as the town, and this side of the board, you need to be consistent with everyone to know what's going on. This town's gotten an awful reputation
Absolutely.
because of what one individual has done.
And none of you deserve that. I've said a bunch of times the company, for good, for bad, or otherwise, the men and women working there don't deserve it. The city of Utica, the town of Utica does not deserve the association that Jamie Knowles brought on you. And I understand the frustration and the anger that has brought out in the people of town, that for the foreseeable future you're going to be associated with them. And you don't deserve that. You deserve better.
Well, and again, it's our tax money that went out the door and went on trips and Maybe we can.
And I do want to be clear, I mean, that's, one of the things that we're dealing with is making sure, going through and auditing what came in, where did it go, there's a lot of moving parts to that. And you're right, your tax money is tied up in some of that now. That's why I always want to be clear, what did you guys get at the end of the day for the money that you paid? And we want to be as transparent about that as possible.
All right, we're gonna move on, unless anybody's got anything, no, you're fine, unless anybody's got anything pressing. All right, so we're gonna move to the agenda item, we kind of moved towards that, the review of the fire service contract with Utica Township Fire Department, and now I understand that is a separate, that's a real company, Utica Township Fire Department, Inc., is that right? Right. And that's a not-for-profit. Right. So, just so everybody understands, we're talking about the contract that the district, this board, the taxing district, contracts with sort of New Chapel in a company that they created called Utica Township Fire Department, Inc. Okay? We've reviewed the contract pretty extensively. Here's something I don't understand. I don't know if you can answer this, Coy, or
I can try to, yeah.
Or Matt can. No place in the contract is there a dollar amount attached.
The payment is whatever the amount that is budgeted for services annually.
By who?
By the Fire Protection Board.
So
your budgeted fire protection services money comes to us, is the way to do it.
if we budget $1, we pay you $1?
That's what it says. It is not the greatest worded document, and again, the lawyer's currently with this company, and you guys obviously are just retaining a new lawyer, did not have a hand in drafting this contract, so I'll just leave my commentary at that.
So, does anybody have any questions on the contract or what it says? I mean, basically what the
Was it signed
contract,
by everybody?
Well-
Does it have sufficient signatures to be a binding contract?
no. You must have seen it already.
FOIA is a wonderful thing.
So, and I'm not throwing Josh under the bus. Josh was not a board member, and Josh signed for the Utica Township Fire District. I assume he was told to sign it, but you were never a board member, right? No. Okay. So the answer is no, it's not. I mean, there's multiple things here that to us is not binding, but that's one of them. It's not signed. It talks about the description of work, but providing fire protection, which is in question as of the meeting 2 weeks ago, obviously. I don't think that there is sufficient, I don't think there's any volunteers really that live in Utica. I can't find any Utica volunteer firemen. If you're a New Chapel employee, I would question whether or not you can be a volunteer, because according to the NLRB, you can't volunteer and work for the same company. So you're a paid employee. I assume you're paying for people.
There are
that
two
respond.
separate companies. The pay is coming from the Volunteer Firefighters Association. Fire services, as you can see, are being provided by the fire department, which is a separate legal entity.
And so who gets paid?
The people who are providing fire protection services for you are paid through the EMS company.
The entity, but not the people. The entity is getting paid.
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Well, if the fire association is a name, and your name?
Sean.
Sean, if it's going to a group or an entity,
So the money from the fire district, from you guys,
Yeah.
comes to the fire department, to the Township Volunteer Fire Department, goes to that. Call it Company 1 and Company. Company 1's the EMS
Okay.
company, Company 2 is the fire department.
Okay.
Money from the fire district goes to Company 2. That money, as you see in the contract, is used for very limited purposes, purchasing and leasing equipment, oil, maintaining insurance on the vehicles, life, health, disability insurance, the things that are listed in the contract. That's what it is used for. So our firefighters are paid $0.00 out of the money that the district provides. Company 2 does not pay them anything. Company 1 does pay them to make ambulance runs in addition to their fire duties. So their fire work is done on a completely voluntary basis. They are paid by the ambulance company.
Do they meet the criteria set forth by the state for clothing and automobile allowances, that are to be no less than $100 a year per item.
I would have to look into that. It's the most honest answer I can give you right now, Sean.
Fair enough.
All right. Does anybody have any more comments on the contract? All right, I've got a statement here that I wrote. I talked to the other board members about making a statement of integrity, which I think is very important in the fire service. So if you'll give me a few minutes, I'm going to read through this. Hopefully it's not too long. Fire service is a great responsibility. When a father leaves his house for work, he has the trust of his local fire department that they're there to protect his wife, children, and home. Or when a mother drops a child off at grandma's so that she can go to her job, she has to know that there are trained firefighters who have made a solemn commitment to protect the life of her baby in her absence. A fire chief, department leader, or fire board such as this must understand their responsibility 24 hours a day. They train, prepare, and staff you and take them. When I was a chief officer, and as I said, I was a chief officer with Fern Creek, I was car forward. When I was a chief officer, I wouldn't even go through a drive-through at Taco Bell because I knew that if I was trapped in that drive-through lane and somewhere in my district someone needed me, I'd taken an oath to be there as fast as humanly possible to rescue a baby from a crib or extricate a truck driver from the cab of the truck after an accident. That's what commitment looks like, and that's what the public expects of us as firefighters. That's the kind of integrity that this board is committed to. Randy and I were appointed to the board this past Thursday evening by Commissioner Brian Glover. He nominated us to what I would say is correct the mess, at least figure out the mess that became apparent 2 weeks ago in a public meeting. If not for Kelly exposing what was going on to the public would still be oblivious to the condition of the fire department. On Friday morning after our appointment, our board visited Station 1. What we found did not demonstrate that those in control had the same commitment that I spoke of. And I've got some pictures here that I want to show you of the condition of the district's firehouses, or firehouse, I should say. And I'm happy if you guys want to pass those around. I know people, the reason I printed the pictures is that I can't tell you how many people have asked me if I've been in the firehouse and what it looks like. So on Friday morning after our appointment, the board visited Station 1. We found this that you're going to see in the pictures. I saw an apparatus bay in deplorable conditions with equipment in piles. It was obvious to me that this department is not prepared to respond to emergencies of this township. In the meeting that Kelly arranged with the public 2 weeks ago, I, along with you, I was in the audience then, discovered that 19 employees of new Chapel EMS were trained to respond to fire runs, and of those, 9 were equipped to respond. We as a board quickly realized that the possibility that those 9 people being on duty at the time of your emergency, not on an EMS run, and not and you're a firehouse, is probably about as likely as you doubling your paycheck at Caesar's Friday morning. We are as a board are not prepared to gamble with our neighbors' lives and property. This group had the opportunity to do something great, but they chose instead to self-deal, to have more interest in what was in it for them. They've left the citizens of Utica in danger while they drive around in their $70,000 SUVs and leave us without fire protection. I can predict what their response is, that it was because of one man, and I can't necessarily buy that. This took the cooperation of people on 2 boards. It was obvious to everyone that the needs of the community were not a priority. We were left at grave risk, and no one from the board seemed at that time to care. This board is here to make a change. We're here to honor our commitment to our neighbors and keep our families safe. This morning, when I was preparing my thoughts for tonight, my daughter texted me this picture. I want to show you guys this. My daughter texted me that picture. This is my granddaughter. She's a resident, too, of Utica Township. Today was her first day of kindergarten. No doubt your family is taking these kind of pictures this week, too. For our neighbors, you have our commitment that we will strive diligently to provide your family with the absolute best fire protection at all possible. And with that, I'm going to entertain a motion to terminate the contract for fire service with Utica Fire Department, Inc., a private not-for-profit company for various reasons.
I'll make the motion to terminate.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Again, Matt, this is not personal. I hope you understand that. We're going to move on to the next item.
What does that mean now? What does it mean now?
So what we just did was we terminated our contract with the Fire Department Incorporated, or whatever the name
Okay.
is,
Right,
for fire protection.
okay.
So now we're going to move on to the automatic aid agreement. This morning in the Public Works Committee, Jeffersonville pre-signed an automatic aid agreement between Jeffersonville Fire Department and Utica Township Fire Protection District. In all fairness, New Chapel, 2 weeks ago, signed a similar agreement with Jeffersonville, so they're correct, but there was fire protection for these 2 weeks that Jeffersonville was responding. What we've done is we've changed that agreement from New Chapel, because or the Fire Department Incorporated, whatever the name was, they're no longer our fire department, and our fire department is now Jeffersonville. So we're going to,
Effective when, Mr. Jarvis?
right now, at this moment when we sign it. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the automatic aid agreement with Jeffersonville Fire Department.
I'll make a motion to approve the automatic aid agreement.
Second it.
All approve, like sign? Aye. So Jeffersonville is now the primary responder here.
Is this a permanent thing?
This is we've made an agreement that this will last for 18 months or more or less. I can tell you that we've met with Chief Grant. He has been extremely cooperative, and Mike Moore has been extremely cooperative. They understand that we're in a bad place. Everybody's in a bad place right now because of what's gone on. The Jeffersonville Fire Department said that they would step in, so we'll have an engine coming from Allison Lane and a truck coming from Station 4 on 10th Street by McDonald's.
Is there any chance that Jeff City can move in and take over this firehouse here on Utica Pike?
At some point.
At some point, yeah, they are interested, yes. We looked at it that, as I said, the chances of people being available close to the firehouse to man the fire trucks were pretty slim, honestly, of those 9 people that are equipped to respond. So we felt like really the response would probably be coming from Utica Station 2, if at all. Well, Jeffersonville Firehouse is right across the street.
Right there on 62.
Yeah.
So we'll get superior protection from Jeffersonville, and they have their benches very deep. So if Station 4 is out on a run, what is McCullough's old firehouse? Is that Station 3? 5. So, okay. 5 is coming anyway, but if 5 and 4 are out on a run, we've got help coming from headquarters Station 2. They're fairly spread out, so we've got help coming.
Yeah, I know they responded very quickly to the last week when the rain came down so hard, so fast, and an electric wire went down on Upper River Road. Jeff City responded very quickly
Nice to know.
to that. So,
So we're going to talk about the facility. Anybody have any comment before I move on? Yes, ma'am.
How long will it be before New Chapel will be moving out there?
We're going to talk about that right now. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, over the next 18 months, your 18-month plan, is it the intention to rebuild a fire department for the Utica?
No.
Or is it your intention to have Jeffersonville permanently rebuilt?
So the long goal, and honestly, we can't say 100% that this is going to happen, but we can say 90% this is going to happen. We've got a couple of hurdles that we've got to jump through, but the long goal is to create a fire territory with Jeffersonville. where Utica and Jeffersonville would be partner departments. We would be equal partner departments. And Jeffersonville would man Station 1. Station 2 wouldn't be manned. It's,
Jeffersonville would man Utica Station 1?
correct. And if we can get the fire territory completed, and we feel like we can.
It's not effective until 26.
26 is the earliest that could happen. So we're covered, and we even talked to Chief Grant, what happens if this fails, and he said, we're going to cover Utica. So for now, the agreement is for 18 months, but the goal is for the fire territory to be able to come into existence by January of 26. But I promise you, we've got good fire protection right now. They're a little ways away, but they're manned. They're at the firehouse. They're ready to respond, and they're certainly very well equipped.
And you may have seen him already driving around, checking out the streets.
They pre-planned you.
They are.
They've even measured corners to make sure that they know what trucks can make what turn. Scott, did you have something? No. Okay. Anybody else? On October 20, October of 23, there's not a date, October of 23, there was a facility use agreement signed for 1 year that allowed New Chapel and, well, according to this agreement, it's Utica Township Fire Protection District to use Station 1 and Station 2. There's multiple reasons that we're going to cancel this agreement, but I'll entertain a motion that we cancel the facility use agreement. And Corey, just to give you some reassurance, we'll work with you. We're going to issue a 30-day vacate. That's going to be our motion.
Respectfully, the contract says it's a notice that you will not renew, so the contract would not expire until October 30th.
The contract won't expire and we don't intend to renew it.
Understand.
But we're also going to issue a vacate order.
So you're going to initiate an eviction if we're not out there.
No, we're going to issue a vacate order from our properties that we expect that all the New Chapel and associated equipment to be out of our firehouses within 30 days.
Hallelujah. Yes.
The contract states that it has a fixed term of October 30th. There is no provision in that contract.
There's actually no provision for either.
Yeah, so the contract's four corners govern. If you don't have a provision that allows you to do that, respectfully, our position would be we have the right to remain.
Actually, we think our position is stronger because there's not a provision at all. So we're going to issue a vacate order tonight for 30 days.
If you believe that's necessary, we may have to see report on that.
That'd be fine.
Are you really going to drag the citizens of Utica through the mud like that after everything else? I mean, y'all already have buildings, Coy. You've got other properties. Why drag the citizens through
We have to
it?
evaluate how quickly we can get out. We understand that you have the right to not renew this agreement.
Kenny Eubanks can help you like he has been. I mean, he's got a moving company.
You can be a reporter or you can be a commentator. Which would you like to do?
Actually, it's a free country. I can do either one. Coy.
So
Thank you very much.
So one of the
Just gotta let you
provisions that we're going to probably stand on pretty firmly. Number 3 says user agrees that the premises will not be used for unlawful purposes, which I think is pretty clear that there's been a lot of unlawful activity at the firehouses.
Yep.
Thank you.
Notice? We'll evaluate it appropriately.
I don't know what all you have on your asset list, but if you're going to vacate, ask him to vacate 30 days, should there be a mutual group there to actually see what comes and goes out of that building?
Yes.
To make sure that.
Yeah, we plan to do that. They've already agreed to give us an asset list.
I mean, looking at.
I think I've got most of them. I'll get the meeting.
Okay.
They got piles of equipment.
Well, if you look at the picture, you can see that there's piles of equipment and anything that the district owns or paid for, we want it done. All right, any comment on the, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't So I'll entertain a motion to issue a 30-day vacate order for the Utica Volunteer Firefighters Association, a not-for-profit from Station 1 and Station 2, and any other properties that we own.
I'll make a motion on the vacate order.
I second it.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carried. So there's a lot of, and I hope I didn't skip anybody. Does anybody want to say anything? Okay. So there is a lot of ambiguity and confusion about the names. We're going to ask, and I think you guys are probably already moving towards looking at the names, but we're going to ask that the name Utica Fire Department or associated names that would
We're moving in
confuse
that
the
direction
public.
already.
Right, okay, I think you are.
Yep.
But we want to make sure that there's no confusion with the public of who Utica Fire Department is.
What's their name?
Right, and the new chapel name. So I'm going to entertain a motion that we send a letter demanding a stop use of name associated with Utica Fire Department or similar names.
I'll make that motion. Stop.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. We have no old business. Anybody got any?
The unlawful purposes during the Indiana State Police warrants. Mr. Wilkerson's son was arrested with methamphetamine on the property of Utica Fire Protection District
We
property.
didn't get the pictures.
Therefore, that is in my opinion, would be a direct violation of the legal purposes.
Yeah, listen, nobody wants their neighbor firehouses being raided by the Indiana State Police. I don't know how many times it's happened, but I think it's been more than one. That's not a good look. Nobody wants to see their neighbor raided. Anything else?
I'd like to say something.
Yes, sir.
I'm Ronnie Blevins. I'm actually running for Clark County Council at large.
Okay, Ronnie.
I've been wondering about this whole new chapel deal from the start. I started hearing about it. I think Sean has done an excellent job and get the news out, along with Caitlin Blessed. And but I want to commend you guys. If this hadn't taken place, if I'd have went on the council, I was going to fight like heck and try to make this fire new chapel and get somebody in here that's going to take care of the citizens. I'm glad to see y'all doing this. Man, y'all,
Listen,
I like to see it a long time ago, and it ain't personal.
it's not personal, and it's not personal either way. It's not personal
Right, I
that we
understand.
say we're friends and we're not going to do it, or we're not friends so we're going to do it. It's not personal either way. But the citizens of Utica Township that are paying the fire taxes
Yeah.
have to insist that they have superior fire protection or the best fire protection that can be provided. And this board takes responsibility for that.
And I see that, and I commend you for that.
Thank you. We have no old business, so unless somebody has some old business that they'd like to bring up, we're going to move past that. Anybody? And we'll move to general comments, which was a general comment, thanks. Anybody have anything else they want to say before we end the meeting? Yes, sir.
Do you have in your records, or can you investigate and see, over the past 10 to 15 years, how many unmarked staff vehicles were purchased and what the value of those vehicles were? How many are still in use in New Chapel Fire?
So, probably not, honestly. We don't have the records. I've got the inventory that the state police has done of assets.
That came from BMP.
That came from BMP. But New Chapel operates as a separate company from us. So we are the fire district. We've just taken the fire department back, but none of those vehicles, we don't believe, would have ever belonged to us. There's no evidence that I've found. Of course, you have to understand too, we've been board members less than 7 days. So we've collected a lot of information in a very short amount of time. We continue to collect information. Key to that information was the missing fire trucks, which the state police are waiting for the disposition of tonight's meeting to see where we go from here. I really honestly don't know. But there's obviously going to be some things that probably innocently we don't know where it's at, but probably there's some things that maybe are not so innocent that are missing now. I mean, there was in 2016, the Freightliner was valued at $236,000, I think. I think you gave me that, something like that. So these apparatus that have disappeared were not no value. There seemed to be a pattern that the district would buy a fire truck, pay it off, it would get transferred to some entity outside the district's control and disappear. That's what it appears to be. We can't figure out where it went. But again, we've only been trustees for 6 days. But
There was actually no oversight whatsoever.
not that
I can see in the minutes that I have from '05 to now.
One person.
Barely any minutes, so I'm not sure who the secretary was at that time. Would you know, Matt? Okay, Josh.
I hope everybody recognizes what I was saying. I've said it multiple times. Please don't make this a personal thing. I don't necessarily believe that everybody knows or anybody knows everything. I think people know bits and pieces, and it's that kind of information that's going to put the story together. But I don't necessarily think that there's anybody that knows the whole story. So I just caution you not to make this a personal issue with any one person. We're certainly not looking at it that way. We think that there's victims that are on the other side too. Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask 2 questions. It's been reported, I guess, through the news media that Jeffersonville has approached River Ridge as well for fire service and tax revenue to get it done. I'm wondering whether that plays,
Yes.
or if it plays at all with your future vision of what our services will look like. And secondly, for folks who are with New Chapel today, who have skill sets that, are obviously still needed in some instances, is there an ability for those folks to talk to some of the new situations? And if they are,
I would anticipate that whatever entity grows out of this will obviously need employees. So I would anticipate that those New Chapel people will probably be making an application. I certainly don't feel like that there's going to be any preferential treatment, but there won't be any negative treatment either. And in answer to your River Ridge question, absolutely. Utica borders River Ridge, so does Jeffersonville. So because we're going to be partner departments and partner agencies, then we will encompass River Ridge as well.
so in theory, if a new facility was built at River Ridge, it could possibly end up being Utica's facility in the future?
Well, Jeff was given land, I don't recall how many acres, by River Ridge just in a recent meeting, and that's where they intend to build a new fire station.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the territory's created, if I'm not mistaken, hopefully we'll be able to ascertain some TIF dollars from River Ridge, because we will be a fire territory.
Okay, because obviously that's closer than Jeffersonville.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we're going to be down here at Station 1 too. But the River Ridge plays obviously a big part in this. But we as Utica Township and the town of Utica stand to gain the most, because we're going to have city fire protection without being part of the city.
I think it's good to say that this board's still going to be intact to ensure that the fire protection is the caliber that we deserve.
Somebody will be sitting in these seats.
Yes.
We don't know who it will be, but yeah, the Utica Township Fire Protection District will still exist, and then at the board, and then Jeffersonville will be adding a similar board that will oversee the fire territory with us. It won't all be under their city council anymore. Is that right? We've got a councilman here.
No comment.
Oh, Jackie.
Oh, Jackie,
Yeah, I'm
come
just
on.
here as a property.
I forgot you were back there, yeah.
This point, I'm still unsure.
Sorry, Bill.
All right, well, you're good.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Any other questions? I'll hang around here for a little while if anybody wants to talk. All the board members can. But if there's nothing else, then we'll meeting call, recess to the call of the chair at 7:55. Well, we're going to recess it to the call of the chair so that we can recall it if we have to.
Really now.